All right, so today we're talking about you are there, but are you really there? Understanding true connection with your family. And this is not just about your children, your family, your loved ones, your partner, your spouse. Yes, but of course, primarily for your children. So this is part of my Grow Connect Thrive framework, which is in the series from the book I'm currently writing. And last week we looked at grow. Grow meant hi Peter. And grow means or grow is all about how your personal transformation paves the way for your own children's wholesome nurturing. Right. So the framework is all about grow, connect, and thrive. We looked at grow last week, where we talked about how your own growth fuels your children's becoming or their thriving, so to say. So today we're looking at connect, understanding true connection. It's not just about the quantity time is more about the quality of the time that you spend with your children. So yeah. And speaking about the book, I'm currently writing. If you would like to be part of my early readers, I will share a link and you get to fill it and you get to receive the book way before everyone else. I'm still writing, it's not officially released yet, but we can start setting up, you can start receiving chapters as I release them. And then when the book is finally launched, you also get to receive it first before every other person. Right. So I'll drop the link and on the chat and I'll also put it in the replay. I'll get to that at some point today. Okay, so like I said earlier, we are building on the foundation of grow, connect, and thrive. We're exploring what happens when you turn your growth, or because you are on your own growth journey, you are now the pillar of connect becomes possible. And let me just give a little background. My name is Stella Chibuike-Ezike, and I write here on Substack about conscious parenting, intentional family life. But beyond those titles, I am on a deep journey of transformation, especially since my father passed in March 2024. His death cracked something open in me. And, when grief gives you the kind of clarity about the kind of legacy that you want to build in your own family. So all of that journey led to why I'm here today and why I'm talking about the Grow Connect Thrive framework, as I had mentioned. Now, let's talk about connection. Because think about it, we can spend all day with our children and we'll still miss them entirely. I'm sorry, just 1 second, please. My have an issue with the lights. Okay. So that I mean, I'm sure the lighting issue will be sorted. It's not something that I can fix right away. I apologize. I hope it's not too dark, but I'm sure you can hear me. Okay. So I was talking about the connection because connection is so important. Right. Now, why is it important? So I learned this the hard way. I mean, speaking of someone who is deep into learning deep into conscious parenting. I remember a while ago, one of the bedtime routines I was having with my children, and I was reading The Emperor's New Clothes. The Emperor's New Clothes is one very funny story about an emperor who was always interested in vain clothing and was interested in outward appearance much more than what he had to offer. And he could spend all the state's money on clothing. So there were two con men who wanted to, who, took advantage of him and told him that they're going to make him a very magnificent outfit that only him could see and every other person couldn't see it. Now, of course, when they had finished making the so-called clothes, he wore the so-called clothes, and then of course he was naked, and then he went on a procession around the entire town, and everybody was like, but this man is naked. Why is he going on everywhere? And it was only a child who was brave enough to voice out to say, "Boy, you are naked." Anyway, so that story was where we were reading about it, one of our bedtime routines. Now, I was the one reading. My voice was reading the words, but my mind wasn't there. I was thinking about tomorrow's meetings. I was thinking about the emails I hadn't responded to. I was thinking about my to-dos that I had not checked off my list. And then my daughter just went, "So mom, why was the emperor so silly?" And it was that kind of moment like, okay, I just froze because even though I was reading the story, but I wasn't really there. So I was physically present. Yeah, the light is back. I was really physically present, but I was completely absent. And I'm sure we've had moments like that when, you just realize that you're going through the motions, but you're not really there. And it got me thinking that connection isn't just about spending time together. It's about the quality of the presence when you're together. And that's really what we're unpacking today. And this is from my own experiences nurturing my children, right? So, what problem are we solving exactly? We live in a world where we are more connected than ever. We are more connected than ever through technology, yet we are disconnected, more disconnected than ever. We can be in the same room, we are on different screens. We're asking, "How was your day?" But we are not even thinking of the response. We are planning elaborate activities, social media being there and all of that, but we're actually missing the moments to actually treasure them and really be in those moments because of the memories that we are making. And the truth is that our children are actually seeing this. They know when we are there, when we are fully there, and when we are just, we are present, but we are absent. And of course, there's so much research out there that talks about parent-child attachment, how there's not just about the quantity of the time, it's about the quality of the presence during that time that secures those bonds. But the thing is, how self-aware are we really in practicing these kind of connections? And it's not something elaborate. It's not something that you have to spend 2 hours 3 hours before you actually make tremendous progress. Sometimes I spend 15 minutes with my kids, but what is important is the quality of those moments. And the good thing is that it's a skill. It's something that you learn. I didn't know any of this before, but I started practicing it because I wanted to be intentional in nurturing my children. So it's something, this skill that I actually started learning. And of course, as any other skill, as you learn, you get better, and then you can strengthen that connection. So in terms of what I've been able to do, I will categorize it into I'll break it down into four categories, and I will walk us through each of them in how I build connection, true genuine connection with them. And the first one is undivided attention. So it's about creating, intentionally seeking pockets of time that you can create, that they don't have to be too long, where you have your children's full focus and they have your own full focus. So you're not multitasking, you're not half listening, you're not while you're mentally checked out. It's actually full undivided attention. Sometimes for us, this is during dinner, no devices, no exceptions. It's just for about 30 minutes or sometimes even less. And we're just present. We're chatting about how the day went. We're, just small talk, just having light conversations. Sometimes is when we are working. We usually work in the evenings, some days. Um, and there's no agenda, there's no destination. Sometimes it's just down the estate and then you're back. And no devices, no just you and them, and you're having this conversation. And again, this doesn't necessarily have to be with children, it could be with a partner, it could be with a friend. But basically, the idea is you're having true, genuine, quality connection. For the children as well, sometimes we have the bedtime debrief, like I like to call it sometimes. And it's basically just, oh, okay, what happened today? What were the highs, what were the lows? How did you feel today? Sometimes it's just reading out a story or just having a light conversation. So you see that they are not elaborate setups. They are not things that you have to schedule a time for. They are not things that you have to plan or pre-plan, but you just have to be intentional in making use of the moments of the day that you already have to create these genuine connections. And the next one is creating meaningful rituals. I like to say that that when you build traditions, you anchor your family's identity, because traditions, rituals, they tell your children that, oh, this is that they create a sense of belonging. They create a sense of predictability. They say, oh, this is who we are. This is what we do. What kind of rituals do you have in your home? So for instance, is it so say every Friday night, for instance, oh, it's a movie night, right? Sunday afternoons, game time. Wednesday evenings, for instance, we're cooking together or we're telling stories together. You realize that all of these rituals that they just help children feel seen, they help them feel valued. It could just be, oh, we are learning something together. Sometimes we spend about 30 minutes, an hour, depending on our schedule. And maybe if it's a weekend, then we can afford a longer time. And we just watch some educational videos on YouTube together. Sometimes it could be affirmations. In the mornings, we usually say affirmations. So it could also be like an experience retell. So there's something I started doing recently with my children. When they come back from school, I ask them, I ask them to tell me how their day went, but they don't say it in words. So I use the five fingers and I say, okay, how your day went between 1 to 5. So if it's a good day, then I mean, of course, depending on how good the day is, and of course it's a 5, and then your best day, of course, is a 5, and then your worst day is a 1. So we're not talking. It's just show me how your day went by the fingers. So sometimes they do 3, 4, sometimes 1 or 2, and we're not asking anything. If they decide to tell me why it was a 1 or 2 later on, that's fine. Or we can find another time to talk about it. But it's just a simple ritual. Just, oh, show of hands. How did it go today? You tell me 4 or 3 or. So it's just something that just helps them feel like they are valued, they are seen, and they belong. It could be special handshake before school. Sometimes we have a special code words that we use. These are just simple ways to build those connections without necessarily doing anything serious or elaborate or complex or spending 2, 3 hours a day. Truth is, sometimes I don't even have up to 2 hours to spend with them. But you realize that that connection is there. Like I always say, connection is like the bridge, right? That helps you form. So it's like a bridge. Your child is here, you are here. A bridge is what helps you move from point A to point B, right? Especially when there's no road network, between those 2 points. So that bridge helps you to either they meet them halfway or meet them at some point, and then they feel understood, because the truth of the matter is that the children have emotions as you have. They have feelings, they feel things, they want to feel love, they want to feel, sometimes they feel like nobody gets them. But when those connections are there, yeah, even those hard moments will come. Oh, definitely they would come. But when they come, and you have to correct, or you have to make things right, or you have to repair, it's easier, right? Because there's that bridge has been established. So you're just walking through that bridge, and then you're tackling the issues as they come. So we've talked about undivided full attention. We talked about creating simple family rituals from your area. And the beauty of this, because I always like to emphasize using things, tools, resources, time out of what currently exists, in your everyday life. So you don't have to, because sometimes parents are already doing so much, right? And it could feel like, oh, this is another to do on my list, or this is another task on my list. But if you are intentional about understanding that, look, these things are, you can create moments out of how you are currently live. You just need to be intentional about doing them. You don't have to, you don't have to make a big plan or make a grand plan, or it's just all about being intentional, being focused, and ensuring that you are making the best of those moments, because those moments will definitely come and they will pass, right? So how well have you utilized those moments here? So the next one is authentic communication, and this is all about creating the space for honest conversations. How do your children perceive you? Do they feel like they can talk those they can speak those very hard conversations? Maybe sometimes not even very hard, but do they feel safe enough to even tell you that they did something wrong? So they are something as simple as, or maybe they told a lie. I remember when I've shared this story a couple of times, when my daughter used to tell lies at age 4. And that was when I didn't know better. And I thought that I was doing the right thing by always correcting and admonishing and projecting perfection. Like, where did you even pick up lying? We don't lie. And I'm like, you're 4 years old, for crying out loud. Now, what I didn't know at the time was that lying is actually a developmental milestone. Yeah, because a child is exploring, right? And my daughter is the first one is someone who she loves to explore. She loves to. So when you tell her don't do this, right? She wants to know, why did you say I shouldn't do that? Now at that age, it's perfectly normal, right? And because I'm projecting perfection, we don't do this here. We don't, we are all prim and proper here. So when she does something and she realizes, oh, I did something that mommy would not like, then of course the next thing that comes to her head is, oh, okay, so I can actually lie and say I'm not the one, and then of course everybody's fine. I don't have to. I've not. I've not. I'm trying to look for the right word. I've not left the part of, oh no, no, everything is fine, right? Because she's also the kind of person that she doesn't want to be in the spotlight of negatives, so she wants to always be in the positives. So I've done something, okay, I can easily cover it up with a lie, right? Because of course at that age, that was what was coming to mind. And because I was projecting perfectionism. Now when I began to understand what I was doing, when I began my conscious parenting journey, and I began to understand, no, this is not the right way to think, to talk about it. I started, you know, um trying to connect with her. Now, why did I even start connecting with her? Because I realized that the more I was scolding her and giving her consequences for lying, the more she was withdrawing. And I started to see that fear in her eyes. At 4 years old, for crying out loud. Um, it was scary because I saw her started drifting away from me. And that's when I said, oh, I really need to do something different. And that was actually what even led to me learning about, there are ways. I know that I definitely know that I want to get it right with parenting, but I know that I'm going about it the wrong way. So I have to I know that there are better ways to do it. And that was actually what led to my going deep and learning. And as I was learning and I was implementing, I realized that, look, this is just a child who is trying to explore. How could you have treated it, right? You connect with her. You connect before you even try to correct. So you tell her things like, oh, I know that you've made this mistake, but it's wrong to do this because of XYZ reasons. And you don't have to lie because no one is perfect. Or I make mistakes, your teachers in school make mistakes, your father makes mistakes, right? So no one is infallible, right? So you don't have to, when you make a mistake, you come and say, oh, this is what I did. And then you look at the lessons around, so we started having those conversations and he started to understand me. Right now, all of those conversations, you see how I intentionally had to create a safe space. So she now began to feel comfortable with me. And then, of course, the withdrawal stopped. And then, of course, the lying stopped. Now, if she does anything wrong, she knows to tell me. Yeah, she knows that I probably won't like it, but of course, she trusts that there's a safe space for her to be able to tell me, oh, she did this. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be what they did wrong. It could just be something bothering them, something they are worried about, something someone said in school, call them whatever, and they bottle it up because they don't feel that they are understood, they are heard, or they are valued in any way. And then they carry it on, and then I've heard stories where these things lead to other things, and before things get out of hand. So you want to be able to create that space for them that they can speak freely, right? You're listening more than you're talking. I had to start listening more than I was talking. I had to validate their feelings. Sometimes you don't have to agree with their behavior, but you don't have to address everything at that time. There's something that I use all the time. I always think of teachable moments. Sometimes it's not just a good time to lecture, but to start having a talk. Sometimes it's just okay. I get how you're feeling. I understand that you're frustrated now, right? I will talk about it. We'll deal with this later. Um, it's not all the time that you have to. There's always a time for corrections, and there's always a time for sorting things out. So yeah, sometimes you have to sort it out right there and then, but sometimes it's not. You just need to know when you're listening more and when you're talking more. And then I've also learned to share my own, being vulnerable as well. Now, this is not about dumping my issues on them, but letting them know that look, I'm human too. So I'm human too. So when they are able to when they see that okay, this is a safe space to share openly, so they share, I share, and it just creates that. It just helps to hold. It just acts like a glue that kind of holds the connection that you're trying to build together. Because I tell you, when you get the connection right, like every other thing just flows naturally. Every other thing just flows naturally. And this doesn't mean that there won't be issues. It doesn't mean that you've suddenly created perfect children, or you suddenly now perfect yourself. Your relationship is now so also beautiful, no issues, no blemish. Oh no, it's not. It just means that when these issues come, you are able to handle them easier, in an easier manner, better. And you feel, sometimes you handle issues, and yeah, you might have handled that issue, but then someone is feeling hot. Someone is feeling not understood. Someone is feeling this person doesn't get it, but I don't have a choice now, anyways. No. So you're handling the issues, and genuinely both parties feel like, okay, this person has my back, and this issue is genuinely sorted between the both of us. So that's also another way, creating a safe space for for healthy communication, honest conversation, them being able to understand that they can actually share, and they will be criticized or judged, or of course they will be taught, they will be corrected at the appropriate time, if it's then right there and then, or if it's at a later time. But definitely they will not be judged, they will not be criticized, they won't be mocked, they won't be teased. And then the next one is creating shared experiences, something I call shared experiences. So it's a little deeper than family rituals. It's a bit deeper than family rituals, and it doesn't have to be expensive occasions or elaborate outings. Again, shared experiences that are simple, that you can actually create, make just make out be intentional about making out time for these things, right? Sometimes we have to learn a recipe together. We decide what we want to learn together from a cookbook, and then we do it together in the kitchen. Yeah, it's messy, it takes longer, but we talk, we laugh whilst we're creating it together. Sometimes we learn together. I've shared how that I'm able to swim today is because I wanted to show my children that um I could overcome fear, because I grew up not liking water. So the swimming wasn't something that It wasn't, it was just not in the equation for me. But then, of course, I knew that, oh, it wasn't a healthy thing, that my children needed to um, learn how to swim. And of course, initially everything was going well up until somehow my younger daughter just started feeling scared of water. And I remember, I used to take them there, and I'll be standing at the sideline and I'll be encouraging, and I'll be, oh, you know what, oh, you used to do this before, what's going on, and all of that. And then all of the encouragement from the sideline weren't working. And I made up my mind, so I was going to learn this thing. So both of us will be scared together, and both of us will overcome the fear together. So yes, we learned together. And today, we're all doing it. Of course, not we're not going for the Olympics anytime soon. But of course, we were able to overcome that fear together. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Shared experiences. We also learned the keyboard together. We learned we started I started also learning music because of them. Because yeah, so these are apart from the fact that you're learning together, you're building memory together. This is also another conversation, another anchor around the kind of conversations that you'll be having with them. Um, right? So we were talking about music. Sometimes we just are in the car and we just make up a beat together, and we're already making up a song together. So you realize that they're just the possibilities are just endless. The things that that can come out of these intentional moments that you're building with them, it's just awesome. It's just tremendous, because if we didn't have those shared experiences together, then we would not have anything to talk about, or at least we'll have one less thing to talk about. So that's also something that we do together. Sometimes we just pick days as an adventure day. Today we're exploring a new park, or we're exploring a new maybe a new museum or a new neighborhood. Generally, the idea is we are discovering together. Sometimes this discovery happens, like I said, on YouTube, where we're watching something educative, or just something funny and all of that. And these experiences, they actually the stories that we tell. Oh, remember when this happened? Up to today, we still talk about. They still laugh at me about how I used to be so scared in water, and of course, they just create that bonding. They just remind all of us that we're in this together. So going back to why I had to talk about growth first, you see that you really cannot give what you don't have. So you cannot, for instance, when my daughter was lying, I mean, it had to take me to unlearn, learn, and relearn, right? And that meant that I needed to be able to manage my emotions. So if I didn't go through that growth phase, then I would not be able to build the kind of connection that I have with her now. So really cannot be you can't be present when you're running on empty. So that's why I always say that your growth enables your connections. When I started doing my inner work, understanding my triggers, aligning my actions with my values, modeling continuous learning, modeling what I wanted them to, how I wanted them to, how I wanted them to be nurtured, then automatically I suddenly had more capacity for connection. It's a no-brainer, really. When you start this, you realize that, oh, some of the things that you didn't even pay attention to, you just suddenly start picking up areas where you can build those connections. And that's really the power of this framework that I call the Grow, Connect, Thrive framework. Yes. So the next one is a Thrive, which I'll be sharing in a subsequent live session. And again, the connection will break down, yes, because honestly, it is not, you're not perfect. There'll be days when you are too tired to be present. There'll be times when your rituals will fall apart. There'll be moments where you want to react instead of respond. So what do you do? It's first of all knowing that, look, these things will happen. But then again, how do I pick myself up? I mean, just like anything in life, there'll be days when you're running on empty. But then you need to know that repair is possible, repair is essential, right? Understanding your triggers. Sometimes, maybe when I'm overly stressed, I need to be consciously, I need to really be aware that, okay, You know what exactly is stressing you. Okay, you know what, you know. So you just need to know the triggers, take responsibility, right? Don't shove it away. Don't act like, oh, it was just, no, take responsibility, no matter how little it is. And then plan to reconnect, plan to get it right. Sometimes I miss bonding times. Yeah, but I make a mental note to, okay, maybe we do this over the weekend. The idea is that you are making incremental progress every day. It's not about, oh, I must get it right in there's not about the perfect connection, or, oh, I'm not gonna get it wrong, I'll be consistent every single day. No, it's more about you understand the journey that you are on, and you're making progress no matter how little, every single day. Yeah. So as just as a recap, how I build connection with my children and why connection is really important. Again, it is that bridge that, kind of just glues you and them together, and enables that thriving, nurturing environment that you're trying to create for them. Simple things like giving them your undivided attention, even if it's 10 minutes in a day, it is so important. Simple things like creating family rituals together. I talked about how we, make when they come back from school, and we talk about, no, we signal how the day, they signal how the day went to me. Beautiful ritual which we just started. Sometimes you go all out to actually learn something together, and planning like a shared experience, and then authentic listening, letting them know that you hear them, you're with them, they're valued, they are seen, they are understood, and they creating that space where they can actually speak, share without feeling judged or criticized, or yeah. So yeah, so that's all about the connection, how we build connection in our everyday lives, in the everyday moments that we live, right? That's what makes the kind of presence that transforms. These are the things that transform ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. Yeah, because the children are not asking us to have all of the answers, right? So every conversation we have is a good opportunity. Every bedtime is a good opportunity. Every time that we notice we've drifted, it's an invitation for us to come back. It's something that we can keep working on, and we can keep getting better at, you know right. So that's the connect pillar, and again, that is something that helps us to build or create extraordinary memories from the ordinary moments that we have. So this is where I will be stopping today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Malana. Thank you, Peter, for joining me. And bye. Oh, Peter says, okay, we can often use those moments when we are spending time with our kids, doing something together to encourage them to open up about things that one may not want to talk with them about directly. Exactly. Sometimes we realize that during those moments when you are doing something together, they just start saying something, and then, you can just have a conversation with them. Sometimes too, they are the ones who bring it up themselves, right? Instead of having a sit down or a lecture, I realize that most of the things that my children tell me, they don't come to me and just sit down and start like a lecture. No, or I tell them, oh, come sit down and have this conversation. No, it's always, in the process of doing something together, because it's just easier. It just makes the less tension. It just makes it, more, just makes it easier to deal with, easier to have that conversation. It's not a lecture. It's not a tensed moment. Yeah, so thank you so much, Peter, for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope you're able to pick something today, and see you around. Bye.